Hello everyone, welcome back to Heroic Elite Comics. In this video, we delve into the intense dynamics between Firestar, Feilong, and the cloned Dr. Stasis. As Feilong wields Stark's tech and Firestar covertly aids XMen, we unravel the fabrications and strategies in this mutant saga. Stay tuned for an action-packed exploration of loyalty, dissection, and survival in the mutant world. For those new here, don't miss out on any future updates. Subscribe and hit the bell to stay in the loop with all things related to Marvel Comics universe, and we are eager to hear your thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This begins at the Orcus main facility. For those who are just now catching up, Orcus is an organization that has been attacking mutants and has virtually destroyed Krakoa, which is home to the mutant population, among other things. This is a dialogue that we hear between Firestar, Feilong, and Dr. Stasis. For those of you who are not familiar with everything that is happening, let me briefly catch you up. Dr. Stasis is essentially a clone of Mr. Sinister, the original Nathaniel Essex. That guy is long dead, and every iteration of Sinister that we have seen over the years, basically, the main one with the diamond on his head, was a clone. We didn't know there were 3 others until recently. Is that correct? Dr. Stasis, Orbit, Solaris, and finally Mr. Sinister's female clone, Mother Righteous. Essentially, though, Dr. Stasis is similar to the mutant, I put that in quotes, who is assisting Orcus in eliminating other mutants. Since Feilong basically took over Stark Industries, he has complete access to Tony Stark's technological know-how. Furthermore, Firestar is a mutant who genuinely supports the X-Men. However, prior to her passing, X-Men member Jean Grey implanted a telepathic thought into Dr. Stasis's head, leading him to believe that Firestar had been collaborating with them all along. She is essentially a spy, then. Among the topics they discuss is the recent events involving Juggernaut. However, for those of you who aren't fully up to date, X-Men member Kitty Pryde had sneaked aboard and created the conditions for Juggernaut to escape. After making his getaway, Nimrod absolutely destroyed him. Consequently, is essentially carrying out her assigned task, which is to approach Cyclops, who is being held by Orcus, and advise him to accept the plea bargain that Orcus is making. Turn, in other words, against the mutant populace? Declare to the broader public that Orcus was correct to target the mutant population and that the mutants themselves brought this upon themselves, and that the mutant population is the bad guys in this situation. Naturally, everything is a massive fabrication. Nothing about it is real, but that's the part she's supposed to play in this. What she does is walk right by the Juggernaut's room, which naturally puts him in stasis as a result of the Juggernaut having just taken a serious beating from Nimrod. This just serves to highlight how strong Nimrod is. Yes, the Sentinel is. There's no comparison to that guy. However, Firestar kind of slips through. Is that correct? She begins to move through, entering the Juggernaut's chamber in the process, and then creates an opportunity for him to escape once more. Then she enters Cyclops' room, where he is once more being held prisoner by Orcus, and she follows all of the instructions, correct? Look at you, Cyclops, she says. Well, I suppose you've never been good at reflecting, especially now. She responds to his accusation of treachery. You're making what's left of your life a living hell, of course. She has to play the part in this, isn't it? In one of these situations? Here, she needs to appear to be the villain. She is unable to subtly inform Cyclops, you know that I'm really the good guy? I'm on your side here. Dr. Stasis was tricked into believing that Jean Grey was on your side the entire time, even though she had been working with him through telepathic thought. We'll release you eventually. I'm just waiting. I mean, she can't say that, because you never know who might be listening. She thus fulfills her role as required, even persuading Cyclops that she is the true antagonist in this situation. Amidst the entire conversation, there's this massive rumble, and Juggernaut appears. This is the reason I say Juggernaut should stop holding back at this point. And the reason for that is that this iteration of Juggernaut bears a striking resemblance to the ancient, prehistoric Cain Marko. Man, that guy was indifferent, similar to Cain Marko from the 1980s, who didn't give a damn if you were the person he was fighting and other people died as a result. Hey, that's how you operate, man. He was saying, you ought to have been somewhere else. Is that correct? That was his perspective. However, Juggernaut has essentially turned the page and emerged as a hero in more recent times. Here he goes back to his old ways, saying things like, I was about to check out of this gig, but now that the traitor's here, I might stick around and have some fun. And he's thinking, you know they're going to kill you once they're through with you? Like, think about what I'm going to do to your kindness. And Firestar blows off his foot with a literal blast, but these soldiers just sort of show up here. Juggernaut kills them all without giving it a second thought. easily dispatches these guys, seizes Firestar, and then she's like, really, I'm cool with that. Eat this now. She then hands him a thumb drive after that. And after that, of course, Juggernaut breaks through the facility and makes his getaway. He meets up with the remaining X-Men at this point, correct? The others who remained on Earth were Kitty Pryde, Ms. Marvel, Synch, Laura Kinney, and X-23. The interesting thing about this conversation is that Juggernaut is actually given instructions on how to defuse the bomb that was under Cyclops, which makes it a really great idea. One of the queries that many of you had in the last X-Men episode that we discussed was why Kitty Pryde couldn't just free Cyclops, because doing so would set off the bomb attached to him. Many of you were asking why she didn't just let him go through a phase or something similar. Presumably a pressure switch connected to his body weight. Is that correct? Therefore, it would have been a stupid move to make because Juggernaut, despite the fact that he's obviously not the sharpest tool in the shed, is a guy you want on your side. And if the weight changes in any way, boom, like Juggernaut dies. When things start to go wrong, you want Juggernaut on your side. Thus, attempting to save Cyclops and Juggernaut's lives was a difficult undertaking. Ultimately, they conclude by saying, all right, this is great, we can actually free Cyclops. Of course, the real question is, how do we do it? Because it is said that Orcus identified a group of mutants that registered as they were pushing through Xavier's gates. It's kind of a crazy situation, but when Xavier drove all the mutants off Earth at Orcus's command, they all ended up outside of time and space. However, Miss Marvel wants to know, where are we going? It's likely that she is asking that question in order to continue doing nothing but what she has been doing. However, one of the things that takes place is that Nimrod and all of the other people here have this kind of conversation. It seems like they are questioning her all the time. Because they no longer truly trust, they believe that Dr. Stasis is the source of the telepathic thought. Unaware that he has been deceived by telepathy, he has complete faith in her. And as far as the rest of them are concerned, they do as Dr. Stasis says. They carry out his instructions. Anything less than that, and they endanger their own lives. However, they don't view her as an ally behind closed doors. And even if they did, she would still ultimately be a mutant, right? They consider their partnership with her to be transient. She will be among the mutants who must leave when the time comes. Naturally, Nimrod is observing everything that happens. I'm still curious to see what they end up doing in this big picture with Nimrod. However, as performs her role, one of the things that kind of happens is that she challenges them in the manner that you would expect her to, right? Use the dagger if you're going to pull one on me. If not, please remove it from my face. I'm going to take a ton of painkillers in an attempt to essentially overcome all of the injuries I'm getting and either go ahead and take my orders or figure out what to do next. However, their position is that this girl has outlived her usefulness. She's kind of past her prime. Time for her to leave, I think. And so, in this bizarre conclusion, we find ourselves flipping back to Kitty Pryde and Miss Marvel, who have embarked on this quest. Given that Kitty Pryde is currently the most lethal X-Men in Marvel Comics, she seems to make the most sense. As an assassin, Kitty Pryde is probably the best thing about the X-Men comics that I never realized I needed. It's really awesome. However, they eventually cross paths with Wolverine because, given Miss Marvel's presence, I assume she's either on a training mission or here so Marvel Comics can introduce her to us as frequently as possible among the X-Men and we can grow accustomed to it. I'm not sure what their goal is. The really interesting thing about this, though, is that, right? Perhaps we ought to speak later, Miss Marvel says in her statement. Go find our friends who are mutant. Germany, where is this? Austria? Wolverine replies, I take it you didn't tell her? He literally asks Kitty Pryde that question. I didn't even want her here. But our dear leaders insisted, she says. You know, I find it hard to believe you were ever a teacher, is Miss Marvel's response. You really detest children? Are you hateful of me or the children? She asks herself, am I way off? Is this comparable to Switzerland or Austria? Here's the thing about this, though. They are where, I take it? They are here because, in a safe haven that not even Orcus will venture to, 5 mutant signals have been registered on Earth. For that reason, Orcus will not travel to this location. It would be foolish to do so. You say, but why is it a fool's errand? Why would visiting this place be foolish? And while the three of them are conversing, a voice joins in, saying, some good news, child. Oh, my dear friends, we're not even in Europe. Let me introduce you to Latveria. That's correct. Dr. Doom has formally joined the Fall of X, ladies and gentlemen. I am aware that you guys adore Dr. Doom. And with that, this is going to be the end of the video. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like my video. This tells YouTube that more people should watch my videos. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you will get a notification as soon as my videos post.